Spinach versus steak, a steel cage match. Aloha, this is Roger Haeske, the 52-year-old teenager. And I want to do an analysis today inside of Cronometer, comparing the nutrient levels of 100 calories worth of spinach versus 100 calories worth of steak. And this is generally, by the way, how nutrients are compared when nutritionists are doing it. Usually when you're trying to fudge the numbers, you do it by weight. Well, the same amount of weight, so the same amount of weight of steak versus the same amount of weight of spinach can be radically higher number of calories in the steak. But comparing by calories also has its limitations, because some foods you're just not going to eat as many calories as others. Okay, it's very hard to, for instance, to get a full day supply of nutrients just from eating greens, because they're so calorically not dense. Okay, they're very low calorie, but they're super high nutrient. So I think there's a lot of myths people believe about meat and all the nutrients in it. So let's take a look and let's see what happens. Let's compare. All right. So I'm going to shrink myself down and we'll take a quick look. All right. So we got spinach here and T-bone steak. I've got 100 calories of each. Now, definitely notice that there's way more grams of weight. It's almost a pound of spinach versus much less than a pound of T-bone steak. But we will adjust the numbers later to account for that as well. Okay, so take a look here. First, we're going to look at here. This is with both of them combined. This is the carbs, the fats, the proteins. All right. Now, so let's look at the first thing that steak is missing. And that would be carbohydrates. They have completely disappeared. So this steak is 62% fat, 38% protein, and no carbohydrates. Now compare that with spinach. Spinach is 56% carbs, 14% fats, and 30% protein. That's right, 30%. What was steak? Steak is 38% protein. So spinach is not that far behind. If you had to have the one category that pretty much steak is going to be the best at, or meat in general, it's going to be protein. It's going to have the highest, so-called highest quality protein and all that. But the thing is spinach has like 119, like over 100% amino acid score. It's doing pretty well itself too. So the point is, we don't need a ton of protein. There's everyone. When people ask, you eat fruits and vegetables and raw fruits and vegetables, you're a raw foodist. Well, where do you get your protein? And so we're brainwashed to think in society that protein is so important and so hard to get unless you eat your meat, unless you have to kill some animals. Except all the other vegetarian animals don't have to eat meat to have muscles and build cells. So anyway, I've been eating fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, etc., raw for over 18 years now. And whenever I want to build more muscle, I just exercise more. I'm getting plenty of protein. So that's not an issue. All right. So let's take a look at some other things. All right. So out of all my nutrient targets, if I have 100 calories of T-bone steak, it reaches 10% of the overall targets. And we'll go over each individual one real quickly in a bit. Now you compare that with spinach, so that says 10%, right? Compare that with spinach. Spinach brings me 40% of my targets. So based on this number alone, spinach is 4 times more effective, 4 times more nutrients or is it 3 times? Or maybe 3 times more nutrients, 300% more nutrients for the same calories. All right? So remember, steak has no carbs, right? What else? Let's take a look. Fiber, 0% fiber. There is no fiber in steak or meat. Let's compare that with spinach. Spinach is 100 grams of spinach gives you 32% of your fiber needs. All right. Now, let's take a look at iron. Spinach, 147% iron. Steak, 7% iron. Even I thought that steak would have way more. I mean, even if I triple the calories from steak, it'll be 21% iron, and spinach will still be 147% iron. So it just blows it away. Now let's look at this. Manganese. Steak has, again, another 0% manganese. Spinach, 170% manganese. Let's look at zinc. Spinach has 21% zinc. Steak, 15% zinc. So, based on the size of the portion, steak is good in zinc. Okay, spinach is better per calorie, but the steak, okay, in zinc, steak is pretty good. Now, what do we got here? 0% vitamin C from steak. Spinach, over a supposed full day supply of vitamin C just from 100 calories of spinach. Okay, selenium, 8% selenium in spinach, 100 calories of spinach. What about steak? 17%. So steak is very good in selenium, and it's one of the few. Selenium is an antioxidant also. It's a mineral, and I guess it's considered an antioxidant. It's basically one of the few antioxidants of the, probably hundreds of different antioxidants that you can get in meat and beef. All right, and then let's take a look here. So meat in general is very low in antioxidants, and also meat has 0 phytochemicals or plant chemicals, plant nutrients, anti-cancer, anti-tumor, all these different things. They help heal the body in so many different ways. So steak, 100 calories, only has 1% vitamin E. What does spinach have? 57% vitamin E. So it's like, I don't know, is that 56 times more vitamin E in spinach in the same calories? You're starting to see a picture is forming that meat is not so nearly nutritious as people think. And then those people who are trying to eat like a low carb, trying to be in ketosis all the time and eating just meat all the time, they're not getting any fiber. They're definitely not getting all the nutrients they need. You need to eat stuff with carbs in it. You need to eat greens. You need a more balanced approach. So meat's got some nutrients, but in a lot of ways it's lacking. So why don't we go over a couple of other things? I'm going to quickly go over these other ones. Okay, so let's take a look here. Now we're going to go down. Water, 18.4 grams of water. Spinach. Wait a minute. Spinach is 11% water. T-bone is what? 0% water. Okay, so there's not a heck of a lot of water in this size or 100 calories worth of meat or steak. All right, so let's look at some other things. The fats, omega-3 to omega-6. Okay. Beef, this is actually quite good. This is a very good ratio. It's pretty high in omega-3. Omega-6 is only twice as high, so that's actually a very 2-to-1 ratio. That's actually quite good. Let's compare that with spinach. Now, spinach, on the other hand, is way better on omega-3 and a lot less omega-6, and that's really important because it's much harder to get enough omega-3s. If you're eating a wide variety of foods, it's much harder to get omega-3 into your diet. So it's great to eat spinach because it bulks up your omega-3s. All right. So let's take a look at some other things. Let's see, anything else in this category we want to do? Oh, well, we can look at the trans fat. Don't want that, right? Don't want any of it. 0.313 grams of trans fats in steak. How much trans fat do we have in spinach? None, not applicable. No saturated fat either. Steak has how much saturated fat? 2.7 grams, but not applicable. I'm not sure what that means. But it's got saturated fat. Not something that I think most people would want. So as I said, where are we at? We're in steak. So steak is good in protein. Okay, won't deny that. 14% spinach gives you 20%. Now, of course, you would be able to eat more steak than you would spinach in a day in terms of volume. Okay, but still, I pad my protein numbers quite a bit when I eat spinach. And let me see. Yeah, and quite often I will eat like this, like a pound of spinach in a day. So it's not a problem. But that's just one of the greens I eat. I also, in the same day, I'll eat other greens, quite a few other greens. So it might be 2 or 3 pounds of greens I'm eating in a day. And those nutrients build up quickly. All right. So we've looked here quickly. Let's just quickly look down here. So this is 100 calories of T-bone steak, 2% thiamine, 3%, so pretty low on the B vitamins, okay on the niacin, not that great on pantothenic acid. B12, okay, so B12, that's another category where steak wins. It's going to beat spinach. There's no, or very tiny amounts of B12 in spinach. So that's honestly something that I do supplement on a raw food diet. It doesn't mean that there aren't other ways to get it, but in our current toxic or I guess overly cleanly environment, we're not necessarily getting access to B12. So B12 is not something that's created by animals, it's created by bacteria. So if you have the right fermented drink, you can get B12. There's a lot of ways to potentially get B12 besides supplementation, besides having to eat meat. All right, so where were we? I think we're talking about the B12. So yeah, so that is something that, basically meat's got a lot of bacteria in it, and that's why you're getting the B12. All right. Now look at the folate. 1% folate? We'll go back and forth quickly later so you get an idea. Vitamin A? 0% vitamin A, 0% vitamin C, a little bit of vitamin D. I just get that for the most part from the sunshine, except in the winter months. So I may then supplement. Vitamin E, again, 1%. Vitamin K, 1%. Quite honestly, these numbers nutrient numbers are pretty pathetic. I mean, even if we tripled the amount of steak from 100 calories to 300 calories, all of these 1 numbers are just going from 1 to 3. That's it. All of these, it's not very high. You'll see when we compare it with spinach. Calcium, again, crappy with calcium, 1%. Copper, not that good, 3%. Iron, 7%. That's decent, especially, it's decent, not fantastic. Okay, magnesium, 2%, not that good. Manganese, as we said before, 0. Phosphorus, 10%. Potassium, 3%, not very good. And of course, it's good. It is good in selenium. I guess it's not that good in sodium either. And quite honestly, you need sodium. Your body absolutely needs sodium, but your body does need zero salt. Okay, no sodium, no salt needed, but sodium absolutely. And the best way to get that is from food-based sources like spinach. You're going to see how much sodium there is in spinach in a second. The same amount versus and celery and other greens like that. Certain fruit are actually high in sodium, like honeydew melon. All right. So zinc, 15%. All right. So let's take a look. Let's compare spinach now. So look at these numbers, sort of get an idea what this looks like. Now let's go to spinach. Whoa. You remember the vitamin K number for steak? So vitamin K is 1,750%. Supposedly this is too much. You're almost getting too much vitamin K from a pound, but that's not true. That's I've eaten these numbers, high numbers like this, and higher than this for years, and it's actually quite good because when you get it from a food source, your body can absorb it and knows what to do with it. I don't think it's a problem at all. But let's compare that one particular one. Vitamin K, 1,750% versus beef, 1%. You see, you think eating beef is all that nutritious? It's basically protein with a few little nutrients. It's not not very nutritious. Okay. All right. So vitamin K. What's another? Let's see some other standouts numbers in spinach. Okay, folate, 211%. Wasn't folate like 1% with steak? Yeah, 1%. 211 versus 1. Spinach is kicking steak's ass. Spinach is all over the steak right now and is grounding and pounding the steak. And the steak is quite bloodied up right now. And he's getting ready. It looks like he's going to tap out real soon. Either that or he's going to get submitted. Okay, little MMA terminology for you. So let's take a look. What else? So what else is spinach really good at? Well, it's pretty good at the B vitamins. The one that's not so good is maybe pantothenic acid. So it's only 6%. Well, let's compare that with steak. How does steak do? Steak had 4%. So technically spinach had more. 6% versus 4%. All right. So what else? What else is spinach really high at? Certainly really high at B2. Let's take a look. 63% B2 versus 3%. I mean, are you starting to see how steak is getting its ass kicked? Its nutritional ass kicked? It's no comparison. Not only has less nutrients, it has more toxins. Saturated fat and trans fats. You don't want this stuff in your body? Come on, people. Let's take a look. What else? 50% vitamin B6. What about steak? Has 11%. Okay, so steak's being beaten again. What else? Vitamin A, 1,359% from spinach. How much from steak? 0. Vitamin C, 136%. How much from steak? 0. Vitamin E, 57%. How much from steak? 1%. You see? Okay. What else? Calcium, 43%. Steak? 1%. Even if you do eat 10 times more steak, eat 1,000 calories of steak, you're still only getting 10% of calcium. And with 100 calories of spinach, you're getting 43% of calcium. 63% copper. Steak? 63 is only 3%. Spinach is killing it. Iron. 7% iron in steak. Spinach, think we already covered that, 147%. Magnesium, 82% in spinach, and only 2%, 82 versus 2%. Steak is barely, steak's got one of his eyes shut from all the punches it's getting from and elbows and knees from spinach. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Let's go back to the spinach. And of course, we knew the manganese. Manganese, 170% from spinach, 0% from steak. Phosphorus, 30%. And steak should have a decent number for phosphorus. Let's see. Well, it's 10% versus 30%. You would probably easily eat more calories from steak. So in the long run, you would get more phosphorus. Okay. 3% potassium. How about spinach? 71% potassium. Spinach wins again. Selenium only 8% for spinach. This is where spinach loses. Steak has 17%. So steak is much higher in selenium. Sodium, 23%. And this is the kind of sodium you really want, the kind of sodium that's important for you to get. So 23% of your daily sodium. Steak, sodium, just 1%. Okay, zinc, 15%. What's it in spinach? 21% zinc. So I think you can see, by the way, let's take a look at the omega-3s. Well, we already looked at that. Okay, 5 times more omega-3 than omega-6, which is good because other foods are not necessarily going to give you that in an overall diet. So it helps to find some foods that are very high in omega-3s. Not that it's super high in fat, but I've been monitoring my Cronometer numbers for over 2 years now, almost daily. And spinach and bananas, by the way, usually are one of the biggest contributors of omega-3s, fatty acids in my diet. Okay. So I think we've pretty much covered it. But if you think that it's only spinach that's doing it, let's just take a quick look. Let's add one other food. All right. Let's compare asparagus. Asparagus to steak. Okay, so here we go. We'll just put in 1 gram, and then we'll just over here and make sure it's 100 calories. So we have 100 calories. So spinach, right? It gave you 40% of your target's 100 calories. Asparagus gives you 31% compared to T-bone steak. What was that? 10%. Okay, so I'm not going to go over all the numbers, but hopefully you have sort of in your memory a lot of the numbers from the steak. So let's look at the asparagus overall. 35% iron. Remember, 0 iron in steak. 134% iron, 34% manganese, 25% zinc. Okay, let's compare that with steak. Steak is only 15% zinc. Let's compare the selenium. Steak was 17, asparagus is 21%. So asparagus is actually quite a bit higher in selenium per calorie than spinach is. Vitamin E, 38%. What was spinach? Spinach was 57%. What was steak? 1%. Okay. Now let's just take a quick look at the numbers. Now, by the way, let's take a look here. The omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is the same for asparagus as it is steak, a 2-to-1 ratio. That's okay. But in terms of my omega-3s, I'd much rather get a lot of spinach in. And you're getting 17% protein from 100 calories. Okay, let's take a look at the macronutrient breakdown. Okay, so asparagus is 27% protein, it's 69% carbohydrates, and 5% fat. And as you can see, the numbers here are much higher. There is no vitamin D and there is no B12. Okay, but vitamin D is something you get from sunlight. You don't need to eat meat to do that. Look at the vitamin K. Not as good as spinach, but I think steak only had 1%, and this has 173%. Okay, so calcium blowing away the steak. I think that was a 1%, another 1% or 2%. I think it was 1%. Copper, full day supply of copper, more than full day supply of iron. Magnesium, steak was so low on that. Manganese, pretty good. Phosphorus, better than the steak. Potassium, better than the steak. Selenium, better than the steak. The zinc, better than the steak. So I hope, let's see. There we go. I hope this sort of open your eyes, make you realize that plant foods, greens, have way more nutrients than animal foods, especially, steak in this case, all right? And there's two problems. Meat is way lower in nutrients, and the other problem is way higher in toxins for the human body. Like, when you're eating steak, you're also consuming piss or urine in the animal meat. It's pretty disgusting. And humans don't have the uricase enzyme to break that down because we're not meat eaters. Okay? So I hope this is eye-opening for you. This is Roger Haeske, the 52-year-old teenager. I got to get a haircut. Wishing you a happy, healthy, and wonderful day. So long, and aloha.